everybody. I am Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube and Patreon by looking for Drew Duncan Radio. And do not forget that I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Simply find me on Google, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Deezer, wherever you're listening to podcasts. I am there. My man Tom Brady might have quote of the year. Legitimately might have quote of the year. Straight up told Eli Manning, I wish you'd never won any Super Bowls. Man. And you know what I really don't get about this? Is the mass amount of people that are taking this entire thing so damn seriously, man. Yeah, sure. That's part of a joke, right? There's always a little bit of truth in there. There's always an exaggeration in there. That's part of the punchline. Tom Brady's kind of that old guy in the NFL that just can do and say whatever the hell he wants, and he damn well does whatever the hell he wants, and that's really about all there is to that. It was pretty much just a joke, you know what I mean? Like, live and let live. And by the way, for the record, Eli Manning, Hall of Famer. Normally, I don't get into that. When a player retires, I let him retire. I try to allow us all to enjoy the highlights, the career, the remembrance. But Eli's just not that guy, is he? He's not that guy. He is highly debatable. It's part of what makes his career so great, though, isn't it? I mean, you got Skip Bayless going, he was good, but he wasn't transcendent, blah, blah, blah. Right? You got all these journalists with their little quips and takes that they're all just trying to throw out there. When the bottom line is, Eli Manning was exactly what I said he was a few years ago when I wrote a piece that was called Eli Manning, the Achilles Heel. See, the Achilles story is great because Achilles technically represents every man. In that every man has a weakness, and it may not necessarily be in the spot that you're looking for. The weakness. And Eli Manning wasn't the person that you were looking to, period. Some of the best in the NFL were taken down by Eli Manning. Didn't the Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys twice during the rookie year of Dak Prescott? And at that point, they were the only two losses of the season. Wasn't there like this whole thing with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots twice and once undefeated where the Giants took them down led by Eli Manning? Didn't they go into Foxborough and ruin a 24-game win streak? Oh, and by the way, if it hadn't been for Eli getting benched the first time around for a coach that got fired, who, by the way, later on said that he did regret doing it, Eli Manning probably would have annihilated that Iron Man record of playing consecutive games because the man never got hurt. And even if he was hurt, he talked about being tough. This is the NFL. Everybody gets hurt. That's all there is to it. See, Eli Manning is one tough SOB. And he sustained a long time, by the way, in the hardest position in football to maintain. We see it at the collegiate level all the time. I mean, it trickles down to high school, pee-wee level. I've seen it. They're always looking for the next best thing. And regardless of how hard the New York Giants have tried, maybe in Daniel Jones they have, but even Jones, right? I mean, he did get hurt, but later on. So the very real reality of it is while, yeah, sure, you could probably do better than Eli Manning in a lot of regards, but there are a lot of other ways that you can never do better than Eli Manning. And I know a lot of people, it's debatable whether or not it was a catch. I personally think it was in the Super Bowl, David Tyree's catch. And I understand that it was a great play, and Eli just kind of threw it up. But first of all, that's what receivers are supposed to do, right? Just go out and make plays. And secondly, here's the thing. Don't forget that Eli eluded pressure beforehand. And wasn't that defense only ranked like 18th in the NFL that year? And didn't Eli Manning, through his 2 Super Bowl runs, throw like 16 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions? Was it 3,000 yards, somewhere in that neighborhood? I mean, the very real reality of it is, whether you love or hate the man, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. You don't beat the Patriots twice, another time in their backyard. But see, though, here's the conundrum with Eli, right? I mean, during those Super Bowl seasons, there were a couple of games where they took beatdowns. I'm talking about beatdowns in the regular season. But then it was like they would avenge their losses, right? Remember it happened with the Green Bay Packers? Green Bay snuffed them out. Then they ended up beating them later on. As a matter of fact, didn't the New England Patriots beat the New York Giants in the last game of the year? The first time the Giants ended up beating them in the Super Bowl? Wasn't that the deal, right? So, it's one of those things where you look at Eli's career, we see the ups and downs, the amount of times we thought he was going to get benched beforehand, Coach Coughlin and that whole scenario, and Eli being a coach killer, and whether, or not he wanted to play for the Chargers, and, it was him being stuck up and being controlled by his family and all this other stuff. But when it boils down to it, Eli Manning has the very qualities in a quarterback that I think deep down we all look for. Toughness, durability, leadership, takes everything in stride. He doesn't ever give the appearance that things are beginning to affect him. He's not afraid. He takes hits. I'm going to tell you something. Receivers don't go over the middle for quarterbacks that aren't willing to take a hit. You have to stand in that pocket. You got to be tough to be quarterback in the NFL. All these people, Lamar Jackson, his style isn't sustainable. Do you have any idea how tough Lamar Jackson is running that style of offense in the NFL? Eli's tough, and that's just all there is to it. And I got to tell you, I would almost rather have a tough, slightly above average quarterback in the eyes of many that I know I can rely on, that's going to be there, that can take the reins, work hard, show leadership, all those. I would rather have that sustainability, that consistency at the most important position in the regards or in the eyes of many in the game of football. I would rather have that than a lot of the other things that we see. Some new kid coming out of college, flash in the pan. How many people are already over it with Baker Mayfield? How many people are already done with it? Look what happened to Johnny Manziel. How many people are just done, right? And then you look at a guy like Eli. I mean, what is there really not to like about him? People make fun of his facial expressions. A lot of people just, that's, Peyton's brother. There are a lot of things that I loved about Eli. There are a lot of things, obviously, not to like about him. But when all is said and done, he is in the Hall of Fame. Forget all that transcendent BS talk. It's really just a bunch of nonsense. You don't have to transcend the sport in order to be good at it. It's not necessarily what it's about. Sure, that puts people like LeBron and Michael Jordan and Tom Brady and, but even then, did Tom Brady transcend the game of football? Or did he just play quarterback the way it's supposed to be played in the eyes of many? It's just a ridiculous term, right? Clickbait bull. Okay? So the reality of it is Eli's a Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter whether or not he played the game the way you think it should be played. He played the game the way that he felt it should be played. The Giants stuck with him for a very, very long time, deservedly so. And I'm telling you, it's really disappointing to see his career end the way that it did. But I'm definitely glad it ended in New York. And I'm definitely glad that it ended with the Giants. And I'm definitely glad that ultimately I think that Eli went out on his own terms for the most part. I'm going to decide, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go. And I'm sure there are teams out there who really wouldn't mind his services because they know the things that I just told you about. Durability, leadership, could take a hit. He's going to be there. Look how he handled that situation with Daniel Jones. You think that was easy? Hell no. But he did it. Guys, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. You can find me on YouTube and Patreon. Look for Drew Duncan Radio. And do not forget that I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play Drew Duncan on Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.